I've had lots of people ask when the video series will start. What video series? Oh, don't you know you're supposed to be doing videos? No. But videos? Like me in front of a camera, talking to a room full of nobody? Well, these questions keep coming, and I had to ask myself, why? Why have I not, and why do I feel so resistant to? Are you afraid? It's not as if I don't have anything to say. Anybody that knows me knows I have plenty to say. Am I afraid of something? I'm not really one to be afraid of much. So what is really going on? Am I worried about what people will think? No, that's not usually something I'm worried about either. What if you don't like it? Okay, so don't watch if you don't like it. Can you get through the screen and like hurt me? No. So that takes all the fear away, right? There's no danger in starting a video series. You know, it's not so much about fear. It's certainly a feeling I'm not comfortable with. So it took me a while to figure out what that feeling of discomfort was. Truth is, I don't know what I'm doing. Am I supposed to have a script? I don't really work well on scripts. Am I supposed to have like some fancy setup? I don't know, like I have no idea what I'm doing. That's when it hit me. I have no idea what I'm doing. It's more about the vulnerability. Having other people realize that. Probably hit the nail on the head there. It is about knowing or not knowing exactly what I'm doing. And it is about being exposed to not knowing what I'm doing. That's really the root of vulnerability versus fear. It's still scary. I don't know the content I want to talk about yet. I don't know who I'm really reaching. I don't know any of that. So the whole theory of vulnerability versus fear started to become something that I was very curious about. And I mean, I can't really talk about it unless I understand it myself. So I had to go back and think through, when have I been afraid versus when have I felt vulnerable, and what were the differences? What was happening around me? Who was I with? What circumstances were there? Why did I feel one way versus another? And I had some pretty interesting recollections, some stories over the course of life. The very first time I got on a mountain bike and I went, my first drop, I was terrified. I was very afraid. I wasn't vulnerable, but I did go head first over the handlebars, okay? So all my fears came true. I was afraid of getting hurt. I was afraid of falling. But guess what? I did it. I fell and I got back. Okay, so then what about the times of vulnerability? A situation where I am expressing authentic feelings. I am opening up a wall that is normally there to help protect me mentally and emotionally. When I'm putting up a new boundary. When I am putting myself in a situation where I'm just not really sure what the response is going to be, but it's usually a feeling of exposure and intimacy. Now, I read at some point in life that intimacy means into me you see. And so that really has an interesting meaning and connection and relationship to vulnerability, because it is. Even though I'm here by myself, I'm putting myself out there and have no idea how it's gonna go. If I'm going to talk to people about fear and vulnerability and how to overcome either, how did I overcome moments of fear and vulnerability? The only way out is through. Just keep swimming. That's one. I think we all know that one. But really, they're very true. How have I gotten through it before? Did I just go do what I was afraid of anyway? Generally, yes. But how did I overcome the intimacy? The fear of being exposed and work through that vulnerability aspect. And that's when I realized, I think, just being okay with it. So it's really about acceptance and sitting in that place of exposure and intimacy and just letting the vulnerability be a part of whatever it is that I'm doing. That's really where I thought, what a great way to start the series is just to be vulnerable and admit that I just don't know what I'm doing. So now you know the secret. I'm feeling very vulnerable, and that's okay. I think that in order for me to be able to authentically bring something that is going to mean something and help inspire you out there, that's probably just where it has to start. Where there's acceptance and trust that will be real, and not everything and not everyone is perfect, as strong or as brave as they seem. And I think that that's really where knowing yourself, believing in what you're doing and what impact you want to have really starts to take root. So then I think, okay, every one of these videos has to have a point at some point. I can't just ramble by myself to a camera, nobody around, just talking. Well, I probably could, but at some point we have to get to the point. I'd love to hear more about what other people have gone through when they felt these same similar experiences in life. And I think collectively, the more that we can share and speak about these, the better foundation we have to know ourselves and to get to know each other a little bit better. So I'd love to hear, when have you been most afraid? When have you been most vulnerable? And what did you do? Did you overcome it? Did you forge ahead? And if so, what was the outcome? How did you forge ahead? Fear, vulnerability, bravery, and courage. They all go hand in hand. So the stories of your biggest fears are also the times that you've been most brave and most courageous. If you don't want to share, that's okay too. But I would encourage you to go through the exercise. Think about those times and think about what you did to get through. And if you didn't, think why. Why did you stop yourself? I think we all learn and grow from each other, but I think the most important journey that we have is growing within ourselves. So if you don't want to respond, that's okay. But maybe just think about it for a little bit. So I also want to thank you for being with me in my moments of vulnerability. And now that the first one is over, I look forward to bringing more content to you and learning from you, with you, as we all go on this journey together.